Welcome to the complete animation of Master Tigress from the 2008 Dreamworks animated film Kung Fu Panda. Kung Fu Panda is an interesting film because many people attribute the rise in Chinese animation to this movie. I've heard it said that this movie, being as high quality as it was, and being as popular as it was, jump started the animation industry in China. And I don't know if that's true, but I can definitely see it being the case. And this movie came out in an interesting time in animation. It's like this was about the time when CG started to really come into its own. Before this, basically the only studio that was able to make really popular and well received and high quality 3D movies was Pixar. But this was one of the first breakout hits from Dreamworks. And this is also when Dreamworks decided that they wanted to be a little bit more original instead of riffing off of Disney or just straight up copying Pixar. A Bug's Life and Shark Tale. I mean, Ants and a Shark Tale. Those will always be dark stains on DreamWorks animation because they were made completely to capitalize off of that. The success that Pixar had. But this, Kung Fu Panda, was one of the movies that really solidified DreamWorks as being its own studio. And I think it still holds up today. It's not quite as polished as a modern CG movie in terms of things like textures and especially the fur effects. The fur effects are fine, but it's like later movies would really nail it. So they look good here, but they just get better going on. And the lighting in this movie is really good. There are some scenes where they really just nail the lighting. It's always impressive just how good lighting was in previous computer animation, because this was made before the days of path tracing and being able to just simulate light perfectly. But using the technology of the time, they really did a good job here. I'm pretty sure that this is one of those movies where when it came out, a bunch of animators who work at Pixar looked at it and were like, whoa, this is some good stuff. I'm pretty sure that some lighting artist or maybe someone in charge of simulation looked at this and just realized, wow, our studio needs to up our game. And that's the kind of competition that I like in the world of animation, where just the technical limits are constantly being pushed and the goals are always being set higher. Now, as for this movie's story, I gotta say, this brand of cheesy, over the top, self serious kung fu movie is actually pretty fun. And it's like the movie is takes itself seriously, but it's also clear that it's very self-aware. And what I mean by that is, it's clear that the people who made this movie knew exactly how over the top and outrageous the action was, but they were just having fun with it, and it's enjoyable to watch. It's like, I really appreciate it when movies do that. It's kind of hard to explain. And also, this movie did a good job of throwing in some funny moments and being a touch irreverent at times without getting into Shrek levels of that. Now, I have to admit, it has been well over 15 years since I've seen any Shrek movie. So, I don't know if I'm really in a good place to really comment on those movies, but what I will say is back then when they first came out and I was like in kindergarten, I was like, "Oh yeah, this is the bomb. This irreverent humor is just what I want." But then as I got a little older, I was like, "Ugh, not for me." But who knows? Maybe if I rewatched it now, I might change my tune. But this movie, it does a pretty good job of throwing in some lowbrow humor that everybody gets, but it also has just genuinely like sincere, intriguing dialogue. Especially, now let's get into this character, Tigress. She is probably one of the best characters in this movie because she is so flawed. It's like, yeah, she's a good guy, but within being a good guy, she really is like way too much wanting glory. It's like you could just see just the sheer hatred in her eyes when she was passed up on being Dragon Warrior. Because let's face it, of all the Furious Five, she's probably the most capable fighter. She's it's like every aspect that the other five have, she has. And I just gotta say, I think it's really cool that she and Tai Lung drop to all fours when running. Like, that is just. I just think that is so cool. And it's just cool. Like, it's like in a world of anthropomorphic animals, uh it's always a balance. How humanoid do you want them to be and how animal-like do you want them to be? And I like the way that this movie does it. It's like Zootopia really leans into how humanoid they are and how much they act like humans. And then it's just like a really big juxtaposition when they change the when the animals that go savage drop to all fours. But in this movie, it's just, Tigress, when she really needs to get somewhere, she's got these big, powerful arms. Use them. And it also goes into just how much you can how malleable cartoons can be. It's like her proportions in motion, they work. But like really, her arms are too long and her legs are too short for humans. But in terms of just the character model, it looks good. And also, Tigress, I think, has probably one of the best arcs in this story. Because it's like, all the way up until now, she was so self confident and so sure of herself and so. She just knew, even though she was wrong. Like, in her heart, she knew that she was supposed to be the Dragon Warrior. But when she found out that that really wasn't the case, she really just changed her tone. It's like ever since she got flown back from the battle with Tai Lung, she'd just been humbled. And at the end of the movie, it shows that she is ready to see how the world really is. And I like that. Um, I'm probably going to end up doing a complete animation of Tigress from at least the sequel, because Kung Fu Panda 2 is my favorite in the entire series. And I really like where they went with her character there. It's like Kung Fu Panda 2 does a bunch of things that I love in sequels. But I'll have to talk about that when the time comes. But as for here, it's kind of interesting. After her fight with Tai Lung, she doesn't do much, and she does a really good job helping with the evacuation of the village. Especially this part coming up here where she finds just this single woman trying to carry a cart full of stuff and kids. My headcanon is that's a widow, and it's like, she's barely making ends meet. And, she has to evacuate with everybody else, but she's basically doing it all alone. And Tigress came to help. Yep. So, excellent movie. I like the character. And I hope to see you when I cover at least the first sequel, maybe the third. Who knows? But thanks for watching.